welcome to the TAYLORMADE Podcast. I'm your host, Taylor. This podcast is a place to express ideas, share creative endeavors, and talk about a bunch of different topics with old and new friends alike. So speaking of which, let's introduce my guest for today, Lucas.
Hello.
How's it going?
Good. How are you?
Oh, pretty good. Lucas is a work colleague of mine from Motiversity. We'll insert a little plug later. And a new friend of mine. So, Lucas, you're a videographer.
Yep.
Content creator, I said. I don't know if you'd call yourself that. And a fellow video editor at Motiversity. What else do you do?
Yeah, that's takes up most of my time working 9 to 5. But I do a fair bit of photography and moving more into the videography and content creation space because it's a nice outlet and something that I find actually pretty fun. So
Absolutely. And you had mentioned that you were going to do a YouTube.
Yes.
Are you still going to do that?
Definitely going to do it. I filmed a lot of stuff. I finally got in the habit of filming a lot of stuff I do just so that I can't use the excuse if I have nothing to make videos on. I think I did that for a long time, but it's the point where I'm filming a lot of stuff so that I can make those videos and I just got to get over the hump of putting the first video out there and get things rolling. Kind of like what you're doing here. You're getting the first one going, so you can't stop now.
Yeah, it's been a bit of a shit show this far, but it's gonna only go up, so that's great. I do gotta say this. I did find your existing YouTube channel with a video that was like a video challenge from like 2 years ago.
Really?
Did you do this, or is this a different Lucas?
I'm not sure. What video were we talking about?
I feel like it was you. Maybe it wasn't. I didn't actually watch the whole video, but it started with there was like a trike. Is this not you? Did you have like a red tricycle?
Oh shit! Yeah. You found that? Yeah. That's still up somewhere?
So I searched Lucas Woodhouse on YouTube, and apparently it's a basketball player. So there's a lot of like basketball stuff that comes up. But through a little perusing, I did find this video. So.
The red trike video.
The red trike. Yeah, so I started watching it, and then I was like, oh shit, I have to come back and watch this. And then obviously I put my blood, sweat, and tears into this, so that didn't happen. But maybe I'll put a plug in this for that old footage.
Oh, yeah. I mean, there's a story behind that. We can get into it at some point if you want, but...
Why, no time like the present, my dude.
Okay, so it was Was it in the winter?
I think
winter,
so.
Red trike.
Yes.
And like a red flannel.
Yeah.
Yeah. A YouTuber I followed for a long time, he does mountain biking because I mountain bike a lot, obviously. And so he had a challenge. He was working with a company, and they were going to give away a bike, right? So you gotta film, you gotta impersonate him. So his name's the Lone Ranger.
That was it.
Right?
Yes.
So his style is he rides mountain bikes, obviously, and he rocks the red flannel like all of us Canadians. And so I was like, all right, it's the middle of winter. What am I going to do? And I was going to just feel myself kind of being like him, riding some of the trails in the river valley. And then my dad goes, we've got an old trike downstairs. Like, that would be pretty funny. I was like, nah. Oh, that would be hilarious. So yeah, I filmed this stupid video and, filmed some stuff inside, and then there's like a shot of the garage door going up, and it's snowing outside. It was probably -10 or something like that, and here I am, nearly 6 foot, sitting on a trike that's like 1.5 feet tall, and so I filmed some stuff, and then I took it to the river valley with my actual mountain bike because
Nice.
I was gonna like go to the trails and stuff, and I took it to this one big mound, and I got some drone shots and everything in the dog park. And then I strapped this, it's old, it's all like steel to this trike. So it weighs like 100 pounds, not 100 pounds, but it's heavy.
It's a big trike. Oh my goodness.
I've got my camera backpack with all my camera gear, a tripod on the side, and then this stupid trike hanging from my camera bag. And I biked it up because there's a little jump park at the top of Terwilliger. And it's got some drops and stuff, so I biked it all the way up there, and I set up the drone, and I was up there for, I don't know, a few hours. It started snowing. It got colder and colder, and I was completely soaked. I was in boots and jeans, and my jeans from about the knee down were darker than I remember.
Oh.
And so I ended up making the video, sending it to him, and it got like him and his wife reviewed them, and my video was one of the top ones, but
I believe it.
Thank you.
Yeah.
It didn't quite win. I can't remember who won, but I didn't think it was as good as mine, but I'm biased. But then I later found out that it wasn't a big deal that it didn't win because it wasn't a full bike. It was just a bike frame. So I would have had this fancy red frame with no handlebars, no wheels, no suspension, no drivetrain. So
basically you need a whole new bike. So
basically, or like take everything from my current bike and put it to the new one. It's like, after that, I wasn't so worried.
No, exactly. Good exposure. They loved it. That's great. So
I can't believe that's up somewhere. I'll have to deal with that.
I mean, it's going to probably be shown in some capacity, maybe a little snippet like the bottom corner or something, just so people can see, you know, as you're talking.
Yeah,
so
might as well.
You can't take it off yet.
Okay.
I need to get it down first.
I might have a couple of photos too that I took, but I thought it looked kind of cool, but I don't remember.
Then I'll be connecting with you to get those after for
definitely,
sure.
Definitely.
See, so that's great because then you started it obviously 2 years ago. At least to like put that out there. You didn't like maybe start a channel, but it's out there, so it's like that's something.
It is something. Yeah, it's I don't think I'll keep that channel. I'll probably start a brand new one, start fresh with no skeletons in the closet, but yeah, no, it's, I mean, in the work we do, and then just even the people around, like you're starting your podcast, like that's, you know, you always hear people say, you know, you surround yourself with people doing like the same thing.
Totally.
So like seeing you start this today, it's like, shit, I gotta start my channel now and start putting stuff up.
You have no excuse now. You're surrounded with these people.
We're both in deep now.
Yeah.
So.
No going back. Otherwise, colossal failure. So that's great. Okay, before we get any further, let's have a drink from not our sponsors, but just you know, regular old
but one day
whiskeys. Yeah, exactly. Hit us up, Booker's and Bareface.
Definitely.
Which one would you like? Also, I got some ice. It's melted a little bit, but feel free to have some of that. What do you want to?
Doesn't matter to me.
Would you rather maybe have the less? Because this is what is the percentage of this? 42. Would you rather like maybe pop the new one?
Sure, let's do that.
Okay, let's do that.
Oh, hang on.
Nice, beautiful. Appreciate you bringing that over. We'll have to do a cheers. My Nana would be proud.
Perfect.
She loves it. Oh God Almighty. Tasty.
Definitely like that one.
Yeah, that's a nice, like really smooth one.
Yeah.
Sweet. Okay, so what have you been working on lately? Anything like in particular? Well, you did that contest.
Right. Yeah. So what Taylor's talking about, there's a guy I follow on Instagram, Sam Newton, and Carl Shakur. I've followed both of them for a while. And Sam, he did a hilarious parody of Peter McKinnon, who I'm a huge fan of.
Yep. Big mentor.
Yep. So years ago, Sam reached out to a company, Vincero Collection or Vincero, and so they do watches and sunglasses and all the, like, you know, nice looking stuff. And just a cold message on Instagram to work with them. And 4 years ago, they took him on, and they've done a bunch of stuff. So earlier this year, he was in Costa Rica shooting for them. So they did like, saw a bunch of waterfalls, and were driving Jeeps and motorcycles and helicopters and all this amazing stuff. And he made a commercial for them. Obviously, it's not like he's going there just for fun, but it looked pretty fun. And then they were doing a contest in partnership with Vincero. So they put all of this footage out for people like myself to play around with, like high quality 4K raw footage that you can only dream of getting, right? You know, you're stuck in the city during a pandemic. I'm not getting the most flattering images. So yeah, it was really fun to see just this incredible footage. And then they had some songs from Artlist that you had to use. They had a voiceover from Carl, so a short, medium, long version. Cut it however you want. And then just the footage, and you were free to edit it however you wanted. So I saw the contest ended on the 7th, and I saw it Sunday, was that Monday or I can't remember, but the day before at about 10:30, 11, I saw on his Instagram story, hey, there's 24 hours left. I was like, shit, this seems cool, and I haven't started yet. So, and I was like, you know, I think, you know, a couple years ago or something, I probably would have been like, too late. But in his video talking about it, he's like, it's an opportunity. Things could change. You never know. And, I'm not the best editor out there, but, you got to practice. And
He's pretty good, though.
Thank you. you got to practice, right?
Totally.
And it seemed like a great opportunity. So I downloaded all the footage. It was like 40 gigs of 4K 120 footage, and it took about 2 hours to download. So it's like 12:30 by the time everything's downloaded, and I'm not going to start at 12:30 at night. So I went to bed, got up at 6:30, did 8 hours of our work, and then from about 2:33 till 11ish, just bleeding eyes, just staring at my screen, like finessing all this stuff. And I think I ended up having like 60 or so different sound effects, like however much, 7-8 tracks of sound effects to get it the sound design how I wanted, and then the music, and then I exported it a bunch of times and wasn't happy with it, and then finally I just put it up because I didn't want to risk not having it up in time. And then so I get it up, and I'm like, all right, it's good enough. And then they extended it by a day, so I was like, oh, okay, well,
You know what, though? We do our best work under, like, circumstances like that.
100%.
Like, well, I mean, not always, but I think, like, especially creative minds, like, in school, my best work was when I procrastinated. It was just, like, bust it out, like, really quick, and then you don't have, like, all this time to go back and forth between it. I mean, 8 hours, like, isn't quick, but, like...
Yeah. It's... I think I even put that in my caption. I said something like, my whole university life I procrastinated, something like that. And so it was just a continuation of that, basically.
Obviously, yeah.
And yeah, I don't know. I think when it's when you don't have a lot of time, it's when you take the least amount of breaks, and you dick around the least amount, because you're like, I can't afford to take an hour to watch YouTube. I have to. That's an hour of editing, right? So that can make a huge difference. So yeah. So you're working on.
Did you just see that?
No.
I just like moved my cup a certain way, and whiskey went straight up and then straight down, and I do not like understand. So it didn't come from me or up there, and went like okay. Weird things happening here.
Speaking of projects we're working on, you have something that's in the works?
Yes. I started working on a documentary. It'll be my debut documentary, so it's going to be like pretty rough around the edges. But I think that's how any good documentary career kind of starts. So I'm in the filming stage and almost wrapping that up, but it's about my Nana, and it's going to be called Tough Old Bird. So that'll be released in, I think, like January, but I'm going to be giving it to her as a present for Christmas. So yeah, it's been really fun doing some like interviews and stuff, and filming my Nana and just kind of like learning more about her life and stuff. It's been really interesting. And I don't know if you've ever filmed chickens.
Have not.
Yeah. Chaos. There are a lot, and like 2 crazy roosters who are like obsessed with like certain hens, like running around. Like it was absolute chaos. Under like no other circumstance would I really like be near them. Like they're great, but like I'm not gonna go near them. But I had to be pretty up close and personal, so that was pretty fun. And they were also pissed off because I made them usually my Nana would go out there and like feed them and let them out at like, I don't know, 8 to 9, but I really wanted to get like this nice shot of like the sunset or sunrise, and so I made her like get up and do it at, I don't know, like 6, and literally the chickens, I'm not even joking, she opened the door and the chickens were like, what the hell are you doing? Like they were like, she even said like they are beside themselves, and so they were like kind of like coming out and like, I mean, I don't know if they were blinking hard, but like they were like meandering about, and she like fed them, and instantly they went right back in and like started going, and they were just like pissed off. And so that's pretty fun. And my Nana was too. She's just like, I don't do this at this time. Yeah. But no, it's been like a really cool experience, and being able to like rent different gear and just try to get like different angles. And looking back, there's like so much more I wish I did. Like I was saying with like just recording like differently, and I don't know, maybe renting like different kind of gear, but I mean, there's always going to be stuff that you go back on. So
definitely.
But yeah, it's definitely been like really cool. The only terrifying thing is when you have that much footage, like I am terrified of losing it. Like I have it all backed up and like all this, like, yeah, several different backups, but still I'm like, what if something happens? What if both of those fail and I've like lost all of this? But that's the world we live in. So
I know. So I'm always scared too of like a card corrupting before I can get it to a hard drive or anything like that. It's like, yeah, because that's the thing too. You can never get things exactly. Very rarely can you get things exactly as they were.
Yeah.
And I think that's something like just came to mind is as I've been filming more stuff, I kind of try to get out of the habit. Well, not really a habit, but the thought that I'll be able to redo it, or you know, I can go out tomorrow and get the same thing. But you know, if you're shooting a sunset or something, every sunset's different, and just the chances of having conditions exactly the same are very, very low.
Yeah.
So definitely take advantage of you know the moments. I think that's the cool thing about photography and videography too, is like you're capturing that it's like super deep and kind of cliche, but you're capturing those moments, right? So
totally. Yeah. No two moments are the same. And yeah, that's like the beautiful thing of it, is that a lot of things just kind of happen upon your lap, right? Like, I mean, you've been out in the middle of friggin' lightning storms, and
Yes.
like you're never gonna be able to capture the same thing twice. Speaking of which, did you have like close calls with that at all, or like I remember your parents, you said that your parents were like skeptical of you doing this.
Yeah, so ever since moving out, I kind of give my parents heart attacks because my whole family's on Snapchat.
Nice.
So it was, you know, I didn't get into it for a while, but it was like me, my brother, my sister, and then we got my mom into it, and she loves it because she can send snaps to her family in Australia. Like her sisters are on it too, and it's the funniest thing because one of her sisters, we were visiting her 4 years ago or so, and she's in her 60s, so she's the type that she'll be walking down the street, but she can't do two things at once. So she'll take a photo or she'll be replying to a snap, and she'll stop in the middle of the sidewalk, and you'll be, you know, 100 feet down. You're like, where is she? And she's just there in the middle of the street.
Like can't chew gum and walk at the same time.
Definitely not. But yeah, kind of side note. But I like sending snaps when I'm doing cool stuff, like not just to the family, but to friends and stuff, and just south of our place, basically, just over that way somewhere.
Yeah.
I can't remember where we are. I turned around. That way?
That way.
That way?
No, that way. No, that's north. That way.
That way. So there's like a new development that way, and there's a really big dirt pile basically they built up that they haven't put any houses on yet. So there was one day I could send you clips too if you want to answer them. There was one day I went out a while ago where nothing came out, and I was like, ugh, really disappointing. But it was like the start of the summer, so I wasn't too worried. I was like, okay, next time there's a big thunderstorm, I'm gonna go out with the camera. Like, so stupid, because okay, so fast forward a couple weeks or months or whatever, and there's a thunderstorm watch, right? So severe thunderstorms in the area. It's like, okay, perfect. Now is when I'm going to get my awesome footage. Now is when I'm going to get my cool shots. And I might also die, because I'm on this giant dirt hill that's probably like 50, 60 feet high. I'm taller than everything around. And yeah.
Do you have a tripod or just handheld?
Tripod.
Oh,
and a little lawn chair. And so luckily for me, so I'm standing on this big dirt hill, and I guess it's far west. So there's this huge storm building, and you can see all the rain coming down. It's like the rain curtains or whatever they call it. I don't know.
Rain curtains, sure.
Sure, yeah.
We'll be looking that up after, but
yeah, curtain rain. I don't know. It sounds right. But there's tons of rain coming down, and then there's tons of lightning too. Like, it's just lighting up the tops of the clouds, and then I'm getting bolts coming down too. And I was like, wow, that looks awesome. And then, so it starts moving this way, so west this way, and then I look behind me, and there's another storm building, so in the southeast, and it kind of wraps around, and then I can look northeast-ish and see downtown, and this storm wraps around and it starts hitting downtown, which is awesome. And then there's one over on the west doing its thing. I'm like, this is awesome, because I'm like in clear sky just above me. It's like perfect. And then I was taking footage of myself, like for Snap, I think, and I just started. I was like, there's a thunderstorm behind me, and I point, and I swear I couldn't plan this, a lightning strike right where my hand is, and I just like
Did you save that video?
I did.
Good.
I
good,
could probably send you that too.
Yeah.
Depending how many videos I want to be on the internet. It was crazy. So it was really cool. And then, so those storms kind of went, and then a new storm built in the southwest and another one in the southeast. Like I think over the next 4 hours from like 7 till 11 o'clock at night, like storms kept building and going out and around where I was.
Amazing.
And
perfect conditions.
It was so cool. Like I couldn't stop. Like there's no way I'm going home when there's all these thunderstorms. So I was in a farmer's field. Like I come down off the hill, and I was filming more stuff, and then more lightning behind me. I see it in the viewfinder. I'm like, oh god damn, I'm gonna die because I'm standing next to this metal silo now. It's like the worst thing I could do. And the thunder's rumbling and everything. And then so I made my way back to my car. Starting to get dark now too. Like, okay, got to be a little bit smarter. I can't really see how big the clouds are getting. And so I drive down this road that has, it hasn't really been developed yet. So drive down, park, and it's just a farmer's field. And then I set up my camera, and it just comes straight for me now. So there's like huge bolts and stuff over like right above me. And I think there was one, I think I might have been holding the camera or something, and it just covered the whole screen, just like, and I'm hiding under the hatch of my car. And it was after that one that I'm like, oh shit, it's time to go home.
Yeah.
But I didn't go home.
No,
I packed up my stuff, and then because it started raining really hard, and then hail. I was like, I don't want to wreck my car, so I raced down the road at like 100 kilometers an hour to a gas station that hasn't quite been built yet. It's got the cover at least. That was my plan. And so as I'm speeding down this road, my mom's calling me. She's like, "Are you still out?" I was like, "Yes and no." I'm like outside, but I'm under a gas station, so it's okay. So yeah, it just kind of ended up blowing over, but there's tons of lightning, and then after that I kind of went to another spot and just watched it all over downtown. It just was lighting up for another couple hours. It was insane.
Yeah. So your mom, was she okay with it once she saw the product of this? Did you show her any of the product?
I can't remember if I showed her anything.
That's a no.
She's seen a couple cool clips.
What's your mom's name?
Trish.
Poor Trish.
Poor Trish. I know. Yeah, I do that, and I go mountain biking in the dark, and
yeah, and then you also flip over your handlebars.
I do.
But I see you're all better now.
Reasonably.
Yeah, no wrap. So.
No, I took the wrap off. It was like this horrible yellow and purple bruise all here, which is weird because I landed this way, and it's really weird. Like the swelling's gone down and everything, but all these tendons in the back are incredibly sore still. Like I can't do push-ups or do anything.
That's convenient.
Yeah, I know.
Shit.
I'm just paying for that gym membership and not using it, right?
Same though.
Yeah. So, so getting better. I didn't break my teeth because I hit my chin, but there's still there's a hard lump in my chin, which is not great. But I didn't break all my teeth, which is always nice.
Yeah. As soon as I got to work the one day, and someone was like, "So how are you doing, Lucas?" And all I see on the camera is he's just wrapped up, and I'm like, what did you do now?
Yeah.
So your mom has a right to be concerned.
Yes. Yeah. I'm not too good to her sometimes.
No, she sounds like...
I'm still a favorite, though, so...
Well, there you go. Probably because she's scared of losing you, so...
Oh, maybe.
Poor Trish.
Yeah.
All right, well, that's fun.
Yeah, well...
That's my segue.
Yeah, perfect.
Well, that's fun. So I initially thought about inviting you on this podcast. One, because you work with video, so I knew I could use some manual labor in getting this set up, but it's all good.
Yep.
But also because, when we first started chatting through work, it was we have a lot of shared interests, which was pretty crazy, or a lot of very similar ideals and whatnot. So I remember when we first started talking, there was a number of things that really amazed but petrified us. So one of those things was space.
Yeah.
So okay, so you had mentioned, I think what got us on this initially was that you were talking about some things that you wanted to do. One of them was capturing time lapses of the stars and stuff.
Yeah.
I think. So have you done any of that lately, or?
Not yet. I haven't. That requires a really dark sky.
Yes.
And you can't really get that in the city. So I was camping 3 hours north a few weeks ago. So I didn't really. I didn't want to be in the dark alone because we had that almost bear run-in potentially.
Right.
We can come back to that.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's I didn't really plan to do that. I think I need to look up how to do it better. To do actual, my camera doesn't really do time lapse, long time lapse without a remote shutter anyway.
Right.
So 30 seconds, you're not going to get the Milky Way or anything.
Yeah.
But I did just one night I happened to just not run out, but like the front of the campsite. And so you've got all these beautiful big trees lining the road for the campsites, and you can look up and there's the stars just show up out of nowhere because it's you know in a park, provincial park, so not a lot of light pollution. And I had binoculars with me too, and the thing I love so much about the binoculars is you'll see one bright star and you'll look at it and you'll be like, okay, you'll put the binoculars up and then there's a billion other stars, and it just, I don't know how to explain it, but it just kind of hits you. It's like, wow, that's so cool.
Yeah, and it's out there, and it's
Yeah.
like so far beyond our grasp.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember when you were saying that, like, even just I don't even need to be looking at the stars to like feel that feeling of
Yeah.
like, holy crap, there is
Yeah.
so much there. And I was actually at the lake a couple weeks ago, and I was letting Finley outside because Jessica's afraid of the dark, and the one time I made her do it, I accidentally scared her, and so then I had to do it every other night. So I took Finley out, and of course he's like sniffing everything, not wanting to pee, and I'm like getting upset. But in frustration, I like looked up, and again, in the middle of like rural Saskatchewan on the lake, it's like all these stars, and I'm like, holy crap. And so I actually like called Jess. I'm like, okay, come out here. And she was timid and scared and, you know, coming out, but she was like, holy crap, like that's amazing. And like I had to stop looking because it started to like consume me and like pull me in. Like it's a
Yeah.
crazy feeling. And I don't know how people like go their whole lives without, well, like even without like experiencing that, or like thinking about space and like being like moved by it like we are. But I mean, I'm talking for you, but it sounds like, you know,
Agreed.
pretty similar.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was like, that's just like, yeah, I don't know, an indescribable feeling. And like I was gonna mention, back in the day, a friend and I, we would put on like these tinfoil hats and like research about Area 51 and like UFOs and
Yes.
stuff.
Love it.
And like we drive into the middle of fields and like honestly would like look, and it wasn't a shooting star, it wasn't a plane, but it was just like something very like distant, just like moving like super slow, and like we would always see them. And there's obviously some sort of an explanation, but I'm not gonna say that explanation is not alien. But it was just like, it's such a fun thing to like kind of get into that, but it's also a terrifying rabbit hole because it's like,
The alien stuff.
well, yeah, all of that,
Yeah,
like
yeah.
just like thinking that the world is as big as it is, and like we know none of it.
A fraction.
Yeah.
If that.
If that, like crazy.
Yeah, I think like it's crazy too when we look up at the night sky. Like what we see is just like like through the binoculars, like you see 1,000 other stars, and yet like that's not even that's like a tiny chunk of a tiny bit of the Milky Way. And to think there's like 400 billion other galaxies out there, each with however many billion stars. It's like, there's no way there isn't life out there. Are they little green men that have been here?
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah.
But like, I mean, you see some of the footage that has come out like recently.
Yeah,
And
from like the U.S. government and all that too.
yeah,
Even
I
like,
mean, they say they don't know. And again, it doesn't mean aliens,
yeah.
but it doesn't mean it's not aliens.
It seems crazy to me, like even with like a background in church and all that stuff, like even in the like thick of that, I was like, there is no way that Earth is the only hospitable planet, or that like there's not any other living thing out there. That it's just like, it's incomprehensible to me. Like it just seems like a waste of space to like not have like any of that enjoyed by anybody. Like that
Yeah.
just seems, I don't know. Now we're really getting into it. My mom's gonna be like, Taylor, sorry, D.
Yeah.
But yeah, like I don't know. It just really, it starts to get very perplexing when you try to like rationalize it.
Yeah, I think that's kind of just human nature too, to be a little egocentric too. It'd be like, we're so special. Like
100%.
even just here, like the lack of regard for anything that's not a human.
Yes.
For a lot of people in society, like it's terrifying. To
Absolutely.
see that people don't give a shit about other animals or the oceans or the environment, and
which we only have one of. Like,
exactly. I'll
totally.
sound like a tree hugger, but
Yeah.
I don't care. It's something that's important.
Hey, I'm with you.
Yeah. So I mean, there has to be more stuff out there, but with the alien stuff, like you're saying, okay, I keep going back to this because
Absolutely.
like again, I don't know, but there was one time. Okay, two things I remembered.
Absolutely.
One happened probably, I don't know, maybe 7 or 8 years ago. I picked up my brother from work and we were coming home. So we're rounding where my parents live. They're in a cul-de-sac. So there's kind of like a ring road just to get to the cul-de-sac. And we're driving down and there's this like orange light in the sky. And it's like low enough that I'm like, maybe it's a street light, like a street light far off. But I ended up turning and it moved a little bit too. And I was like, oh, that's kind of weird, but didn't think much of it because it was literally the same color as the streetlights. And so we park and everything, and mom and dad and their friend are out on the back patio, and I swear I'm not making this up. I can't remember if they said it first. I was like, we kind of saw a weird orange light, and they're like, it just went over top of us, and made no noise. And I was like, you're kidding me. Which way did it go? So like that way. So I run out of the house. I run to like the dry pond area and there's nothing. Oh. And my mom, I don't know if it's her or my sister, took her phone and she filmed. Of course it's deleted. And I hate that because it's so like, oh yeah, I took this footage and now it's gone. I hate
somehow
that
invalidates
trope.
It, but
yeah, but it was pretty fuzzy anyway. It's not like and it's not like it's groundbreaking proof or anything. But yeah, it's like maybe there's something. And then the other thing, it's not an actual encounter or anything, but my friend and I, when we were young, we used to do sleepovers and we'd stay up pretty much all night, and early morning there was some UFO show.
We're good.
Okay.
Yeah.
Some UFO show, and we were watching this at like 4 a.m, right? And I can't remember what it was called, what incident it was, but something crashed in the woods. Somebody was investigating it. And then they heard this like shriek of like an animal being like just ripped apart or something. Like this horrible, I can still hear it in my head. I'm getting goosebumps just thinking about it.
I'm getting goosebumps and I don't even know.
It's this horrible screeching sound. And every now and then, like if we're out somewhere in the dark, be like, hey bro, you remember that sound? And it just creeps us out to the point it's like, why?
Why would you do that?
Why would you do that?
Oh my goodness. Okay, so that's terrifying.
Yeah.
Would love to find that footage, but good luck.
Yeah, I don't know.
What show?
Yeah.
Terrifying. Okay. My brother-in-law Dan's gonna love this because he bought me this Booker's for my birthday. Not this last birthday, but the birthday before. So he's gonna be like, "Wow, how do you still have it?" Very nice stuff. What did I say? 64.5%, I think. Says somewhere on there. It's somewhere near that. Super strong, but very delicious. And just in case Lucas makes a face, it's not just any whiskey. This one will make you grow some chest hair. So I just wanted to preface it before we went on.
It's perfect because I don't have any chest hair.
Yeah, perfect.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, so it's a little bit different. It'll tickle your nose hairs and everything else. So, but it's very nice, right?
It is really nice. It's fairly similar to taste. I'm not an expert, but
there are like very similar notes in it for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, just like a bit more intense.
Yeah,
so.
It hits a little harder.
But hey, that's good. Just playing the instrument here. Yeah, because now you can say that you've had Booker's uncut and unfiltered. So.
Hell yeah.
Okay, so we just finished talking about space. So similarly, I think we both can agree that the ocean is remarkably terrifying as well. The fact that, similar to space, so much of the ocean is undiscovered, which is absolutely terrifying. Because, I actually read this fact that, so, okay. I do not have the fact
I think I know where you're going.
But we've, discovered, the little bits of the ocean, right? And, a majority of the ocean is considered, the deep ocean. And that's what we've, never discovered. So it's, we've not even cracked the surface when it comes to the... okay, so on TikTok, I found my way on to, this side of TikTok that was just really fun.
Yeah.
So this gal was like, her whole page is kind of talking about like mermaids and stuff, okay? And like different things that like Little Mermaid. No, little things that like kind of have come up, different sightings of things that are like, this feels like if mermaids existed, this is like what it would be in the realm of. And like some of the things, like it's not just like things in like the middle of the sea that they're seeing. It's like things that are like right there, things that like pop up and go, or like dead things on like the beach. And again, probably like a reasonable explanation, but I'm not going to say that it's not crazy creatures we don't know. Okay? So, first of all, that's that. Secondly, the ocean is so scary.
I know.
And like I'm pretty sure that was my first point too, but like I feel like it really needs to be really hit home because like, okay, so do you ever like swim in like okay, do you like snorkel or anything like that?
I have, yeah.
Okay, yeah. Do you ever get terrified of like what's below?
Yeah.
Like submerged things of that. Like, so if you were to see like a sunken ship, like does that not like scare the shit out of you?
No.
No? Okay, cool.
I say that's more cool than scary. I'm more afraid of the animals in the ocean than what's at the bottom.
No, for sure. But listen, so hear me out.
Yeah.
So, okay, let me just paint a picture for you.
Okay.
So, 13, in Barbados, and my cousin's with me. I'm like on like this mission trip, but we're doing like this catamaran snorkeling thing, okay? I also ended up in the hospital after this because I had like sunstroke or heat stroke or whatever. But this was not a delusion, okay? So, we are doing our snorkeling, and there's a sunken ship, and I'm like, that scares me because all I think of is like something coming out of it, or like I think about like how did that ship end up there, who are the lives that were on it, not necessarily that they died, but like just who, like I just like really think about like origin stories of things.
Yeah.
So like if I buy a car that's like used, I think about, okay, who had this in the past life, or like this house that Jess and I just bought, I'm like, what was it like with them living here? Like, interesting. I don't know. Anyways, side note. But so we are snorkeling, 13. I'm finally like kind of chilling. I'm fine at swimming, but I'm just like, ocean. This is my first time on a plane, first time in the ocean, and first time like on a big trip away from my parents. So I'm like swimming, I'm like a little bit nervous, but I'm like, it's fine. So first of all, I'm swimming, I have the snorkel thing going out here, and I hear like all these like older friends of mine laughing. And I'm like, what are they laughing about? And I look, first of all, huge school of these purple fish coming at me, and they can just see it splashing, slapping my face as they go past me. I shit you not, it was the grossest thing. I had like slime from these fish on my face. It was so gross. But beyond that, I'm swimming at the back, like after all this, and I get all that shit off my face, I'm swimming at the back of the catamaran, and I'm with my cousin Kyla. Sorry, Kyla. And I swear it's a shark that comes underneath us. It wasn't, but it was this huge kingfish, okay? And they're like, can be like 6 feet big, and they literally look like a shark when you're there. So my reaction was to push her. It's terrible. I'm never gonna live this down. I like pride myself on being a caring person, but I pushed her to it and like went onto the catamaran, and the guy's like comforting me, saying like it was a kingfish. Meanwhile, my cousin Kyla's like getting out of there, and she's like screaming at me because she just thinks I like fed her to this shark. Anyways, all this to say, terrifying things make you do terrifying things.
Yep.
But speaking of sharks, tell me about that Mexico thing that you were telling me about with swimming out to the...
Yeah. So, yeah, I agree with the oceans are just kind of mind-boggling. And I think there's a stat I heard somewhere. It's like we've explored more of like the moon's surface than we know about the bottom of the ocean. It's like the ocean's like right here, and the moon's like way over there.
Yeah.
Mind you, it's kind of tough. Not that it's easy to get the moon, but it's pretty tough to get down that deep. But yeah, I was in Mexico, I don't know, first time, doesn't matter how when it was. But there's so we're at the resort and everything, and on the beach swimming as you do, and out in the distance you see like the buoys floating there. So I'm half Australian. I've been to Australia a number of times because that's where my mom's from. And so at a lot of beaches they have shark nets to protect swimmers. And so I just figured there's big old net. There's no sharks anywhere. I'll be fine. And the boy's probably like at least between 100 and 150 meters offshore, like decent swim.
Totally.
And like I'm a pretty decent swimmer, but you know, when you my issue is pools are fine. I'm great at swimming. When it's really deep and I don't know what's under me and I'm out of my depth, like I'm a decent swimmer, but when I don't know what's under me, that's the issue. Like I've scuba dived one time, and that's fine because you're down, you can see around you, especially like if you're on the bottom, like, you know, looking around the corals and stuff. No great white's gonna come up underneath you,
I would
right?
hope not. Yeah.
I would sure hope not. Freaking stealthy great white in the sand. But that's okay. You're like kind of immersed in it, and you're not so much looking like prey floating on the top. So anyway, yeah, I decided to swim out to the buoy. I thought it would be fine. So my brother's behind me. I've got goggles and everything. So I'm swimming, start getting closer, and I can't see any net. And I get a little bit closer, still no net. And my brother's behind me. So I see no net. There's no net. And I turn around and I swam as fast as I've ever swum before. Because in that moment, I nearly shit myself because I don't know what's out there. It could 100%. Be anything, right? And so yeah, I hightailed it back, and I stayed knee deep after that, or waist deep, something like that. Because yeah, you just don't know, right?
Totally. And I'm gonna say this one more time. Poor Trish.
Yeah.
Both of her sons out there.
Yeah.
So yeah. Does your sister on this trip?
Yeah, but she's smarter than the two of us.
Yeah, obviously. I was gonna say she sounds smarter a little bit. Shout out to your sister.
Yeah, but the funny thing too, I'll just say, like I had the impression that these shark nets like go from the bottom. I just watched a documentary and stuff. So the shark nets that they do in Australia, not only are they terribly ineffective for like stopping sharks. Well, the reason they're so effective is because sure they might be 150 or 200 meters long, but they're 6 meters like deep. So sharks swim over it and under it all day long. They don't do anything except kill maybe the smaller ones that don't know, but the bigger ones still come through, which are more dangerous to people.
So when you go back to Australia, will you be venturing out there?
No.
That's probably for the best.
Not past my waist.
Yeah, that's a good call. Because it's funny how your mind works, because again, when I was at the lake, I was paddleboarding for the first time.
Yeah.
And like, again, this is in Saskatchewan, no sharks. There's like big jackfish, maybe. Okay. And I'm paddling, and I'm doing great, but again, first time, and I'm like terrified. I mean, I don't even know. I was wearing a bathing suit, but I like still like don't want to go in. I'm wearing like this nice shirt, and I'm like don't want to fall in the water. But I'm like doing good, and then I start looking at the water. And, like, for a while, it's, like, pretty shallow there. So, like, for a while, you can see the floor. But then, like, you can't see the floor. And then I started focusing on the fact that, like, I couldn't see the floor. And even though it's probably, like, it was probably, like, 8 feet deep at that point. And I'm, like, terrified. I'm, like, there's something for sure underneath me. And then I started to, like, my knees started to buckle. And I'm, like, okay, no, like, relax. And then in Saskatoon, I was on the river. And same thing. As soon as I'd look at the water, and I'm, like, there's like some sturgeon or something that's gonna kill me, like and it's just so weird. Your mind plays these stupid tricks on you, especially when you're like an overthinker. I don't know, are you an overthinker?
100%.
Yeah. So like mind constantly racing, I'll think about the stupidest things, but like in settings like that, it's just like 100% irrational. I mean, but here I am still doing it, so that's good. Conquer your fears. But
yeah, I had a similar thing. I was at a lake, and Jackfish Lake actually. And our friends had a lot, and they had a raft, and we were all jumping off and stuff. So I jumped off. It's fine. And then I'm trying to get up the ladder, and my leg cramps. So it stuck like perfectly straight. I'm like, this is where I lose my leg. There's definitely one shark in here, and it knows my leg is straight down. Yeah, in middle of Alberta, nowhere near the oceans. There's one shark.
It's probably something mutated, more likely.
Yeah.
Mutated jackfish.
Yeah, but that's the thing. It's like irrational fears, right? Sometimes I've talked to some people. I'll be like, they'll be like, oh, I have this irrational fear of like drowning. I'm like, that's a rational fear.
100%.
Like
Can happen.
Yeah, an irrational fear is like fear of ketchup, or
Yeah.
like fear of long words, or something stupid, which is ironically a hilariously long word.
Do you have a irrational fear of any sorts, like, or anything that, like, even like a phobia or something that bothers you?
Not really. Like,
That's good.
I wouldn't say I have any irrational fears. I think most of mine are pretty rational.
Probably found it on things that you've already done. And
Yeah, I
realized,
mean,
shit.
like, again, I'm a decent swimmer. If you put me up next to a shark, not so much.
They might have you there.
Definitely. Yeah, just rational stuff, like, I don't do solo mountain biking in the mountains or hikes like that because I could run into a bear, right? I'm not afraid of like heights or spiders or snakes or anything crazy like that. I'd say, like, the one thing that really creeps me out is videos of people that do like underwater caving, like those
Never.
things that they'll swim through a hole that's like this big. No. You combine drowning and underwater and close spaces.
Yeah.
It's like that gets my palms sweaty. But other than that, it's like
mom spaghetti.
Yeah. Other than that, it's like just pretty rational fears. And then I think the most, well, maybe not the one that's the most, no, I don't even know what I'm saying, but like, I don't know.
Yeah. 40, wait, what did I say? 64%. Yeah.
Yeah. I think the biggest thing, to kind of reset, the biggest thing, I'm afraid of regretting not doing things. That's the biggest thing.
Yeah.
Like I have, not to go into detail, but the stuff that I wish I would have done that, you can't go back and change. And I think that's the part that like hurt, not necessarily hurts, but really weighs on the mind.
Right.
It's not anything that's going to kill me, which is funny, but
But I mean, that's fair, and that's what kind of can spur you into, making sure that you do the things that you want to do now, like,
Definitely.
Starting this channel and different things, and like getting out there and shooting and, doing whatever it is that you want to do. And I mean, even I've, going back to like the podcast, I've been wanting to do this for forever, and I'm like, you know what, I just got to try to plan it, and then you don't. But then, like I said, you start talking to like coworkers or stuff, or, this kind of all happened. I'll give the Motiversity a plug, but at work we were doing this, it's called World Class Wednesday, and we had this 21-day challenge. And so the whole point of this was you take 21 days to make this, like, make a change and make something a habit. So you got to like decide kind of if you wanted to do like fitness or like just like lifestyle or whatever. And there were a number of us who decided to do something your choice. And so it's interesting because we had like this most broad topic, and like all of us had pretty much identical goals, and that was to like spend time doing creative non-work stuff. And I mean, out of that for me came all of my plans up until the end of the year for this podcast, and like, a bunch of other people had really good success with it. And like, I know like Lucas, you maybe didn't have like super great success, but like it put a fire under your ass a little bit.
Yeah,
right?
yeah, it gets me thinking. And my goal is to do something creative for half an hour every day. And I think just nature of the summer, like I went away for a week too. It's like you can't take a back seat. This is like mental recharge and stuff. But even still out camping, like I'm taking photos, so I'm still doing something. I'm not doing nothing.
Totally.
So
yeah, makes a big difference to have those people around you as like accountability. And I think, again, I'll go to the Motiversity plug because I did tell them that I'd give them a little bit of a shout out, but because I have so many subscribers compared to them. So no, yep. But I just like it's amazing working in an environment that not only like the be all end all isn't just what you make for the company and like the profits that you make for the company. It's like they care about your growth, and they care about trying to foster this creative interest in you and like develop that. And I think that's pretty unique. And like every time I get to talk about where I work, it's like I don't know, I've been there for like 4 months, and you'd think that like initial like awe would like wear off, but it's like, I don't know, for you've obviously been working there longer, but like for me it's like I still like rave about where I get to work. And it's pretty crazy that you get to do something that you love, even though just like any job, it can get tough. It can get a bit mundane sometimes, but it's like, I'd rather be doing that than like anything else I've done in my life. So it's like pretty unique to be able to work for that. So shout out Motiversity.
Definitely.
Check them out.
Yeah, it's so different. And like, I think I don't know if I want to say it's like a super millennial job.
Yeah.
But it is a different. It's definitely different from the normal, because, you know, I've had a few jobs. You know, I'm nearly 29, so I started, you know, I had a paper route. I worked at a grocery store. I worked at a clothing store. I worked for an oil company for 2 summers. I worked for a golf course where I got up at 4:30 in the morning my entire summer, which I don't recommend.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's so different to be able to actually be creative and have, like, even though we're in a niche for creating, you know, it's still much more creative than sit there from 9 till 5 and do invoices.
Totally.
Because that is my nightmare. Those 2 summers working and doing that as a summer student, I knew I would never forgive myself if I ended up there.
Yeah, totally. And like for some people, that is their absolute dream, and that's great, but like you have different people for different purposes. And I think when you try to force something, like, I don't know for you, but for me, being like super creative and having all these creative interests and never really having any other idea for what I wanted to do for a job, it's like you try to rationalize, like, okay, well, I'll maybe make more money right off the hop if I do this, or like, you know, if I just stick it out and, you know, do this office job, you know, it's good pay, it's pretty reliable, and I can just like do my own creative stuff on the side. But it's like you are so much happier when you're doing what you love to do, and you get like way more people that you're surrounded with. Like, even though I was applying for something that was super creative, you just like don't think you're going to make these kinds of connections. Like, I wouldn't think that, you know, I'd be sitting here with one of my colleagues and like drinking whiskey and talking about this.
Yeah.
Like, but it's like, that's exactly what it is. And you just kind of have to, sometimes you have to really bet on yourself and just, you know, go for what you kind of want to do. And so, yeah, I think it's really unique to have a company with such like a good culture even. And like I said, they foster the creative juices that you have. And I think that that's just like really special. So love that. But
yeah, no, it's a big part for sure. And like, I didn't have this creative side for the longest time. I was always like, always the science nerd. So I was like the Bill Nye, the Magic School Bus kind of kid. I think that's where I got my love for all the sciences and stuff. But you know, like right out of high school, it's like, okay, the next step is university. But I had no plan. Right. So I just went in, and it was the worst. Yeah. Just especially because you're spending like $4,000 a semester. Yeah. And just kind of struggling. So the first 2 years, it was a nightmare. Like, I'm not a good student anyway. I hate studying. Yeah. It's such bullshit.
Going back to procrastinating.
Exactly. Yeah, I didn't. Frick, man. You'd think I would have learned after 5 years of university, but I definitely didn't. And so, yeah, for the whole time, I was just all science, and then got into the photography, went to Australia, right? Took photos with an iPhone. I was like, they're cool, but quality's kind of shit. Yeah. And then so my brother had a camera. He started doing YouTube and then kind of stopped. So I borrowed his camera for like 2 years, and then finally bought my own, and then just kind of went full into it. And yeah, it's the creative side I never thought I had.
Well, I'm happy that you found it. But I mean, the science and the creative can go together. I'm not great at science, but like, I mean, there's some sort of a marriage there to be said for sure. So yeah, I think the world is better off with you having a creative side. So 100%. Kind of crazy. Circling back to, you know, starting with Motiversity, I started in April, which is coming up on, well, I started the end of April, so coming up on 5 months. So again, insane that I'm sitting here today having this talk, because let me just talk about the humble beginnings of this friendship here. So I had recently moved into a neighborhood, and like really recently moved in, and I had never met any of my work colleagues, never met my boss. All my interviews were online. We have a meeting every day, so I've seen like faces. I don't even know, did we have a conversation yet even?
We didn't even have a one-on-one, I don't think.
No, we didn't have a one-on-one, but did we talk about AirPods for? already.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so I think the only conversation that we had was you had asked about AirPods.
So that was still like texting. It wasn't even face to face.
It wasn't even face to face. It was nothing. We never communicated. And again, like, virtually, I'm sure everybody knows this now, but like working virtually or like only knowing people through like virtual is crazy because you have no idea, like I don't know, you have expectations for what this person is like in person, or like how tall they are, or like all these different things. You have no idea. And so this one day I'm driving and I'm turning like onto our street, or just like off our street, and I see this guy longboarding on the road. And like this, we live like in a new neighborhood, and so there's like really like nice roads, and I see him longboarding, and I'm like, it like snap second of him longboarding, and I see this blue sweater, which previously I did say that like I think we have the same sweater. We don't, but same color. So I like naturally see this, and then I just see side profile, and I'm like, that was Lucas. And like, again, we've never even talked. So I messaged him on Skype because that's what we were using for work, and I'm like, having fun longboarding. And then
yeah, it kind of freaked me out a little bit because I thought you were a few neighborhoods down, like 20 minutes down the highway, because you had mentioned a different area. And so yeah, I'm longboarding. It's, I don't know, 9 at night or something, and I'm Snapchatting like friends, be like, oh, I'm for longboard ride, and then yeah, I see a message from Taylor pop up. It says, having a nice longboard. I'm like, holy shit, who did I send that to the work Skype? That would be just great. And so I'm stopped in the median, and I'm like looking around. I'm like, what the hell? I was like, yeah. I don't even remember exactly what I said, but like, yes. How did you know? And it turns out you just passed me, and I had no idea.
I guess you have a very distinguished side profile.
Maybe.
But I also was like, holy shit, I hope that was him. And also like kind of hope it wasn't, because either way makes me sound like a total creep. Like, I don't know, I don't think you would have been able to recognize me longboarding down a road. Like, I mean, maybe I have some distinguishable characteristics, or facial features, but yeah, that was crazy. And then like the first time that we ever saw each other, we were going to a work function, and you were coming to pick up my chair, because I was gonna ride my bike, like my motorcycle, and so you led me, and that was great. It was a little dicey. I almost got in an accident on the way there, but that was okay. But on the way back, why don't you talk about what happened? Yeah,
so we were coming back from the work thing just by the river valley, and we were coming down this road past, ironically, the hospital. Yeah, should I preface this like huge accident, clickbait,
You'll never guess,
for Instagram and stuff. Yeah, no. So we're coming down this road past the hospital and the stollery, and
Jess was working that night too, which is even funnier. Yeah,
I could have met Jess that night.
She would have helped you at the stollery for sure.
So we come to this big intersection. It's like an 8-lane intersection, right? Because the train tracks go across one side. And so we're stopped at the red light. I'm in front in my car. You're following me on your motorbike. And light turns green. I'm not speeding off the line or anything, just casual. And so luckily it wasn't the semi, but a semi without the trailer. He decides it's red. He's got momentum. He's just going to make that right turn, right? And I see that. So I let off the gas, so I'm not, going to hit 60 or anything. But the woman behind him thinks I can go too. So I'm coming through the intersection. The curb is like right here, and I look to my right. In a split second, I see her face and her car coming right to my passenger side. And I don't know how the brain works, is amazing, because like in that split second, I knew that you were behind me in your motorbike. If I slammed on my brakes, you're not going to have such a great night.
Over the handlebars.
Yes, you would not be having a good time. So instinctively, I guess this comes to like defensive driving too, but I'm really lucky there was nobody in the left lane, because the second I saw her, before I even look forward again, the wheel is like cranked the whole way over. I just hit the mic.
Yeah, it's not good.
Cranked the whole way over. I took the entire left lane and even went up on the curb on the median, just all in a flash. It's like poof, like whoa, and I like come back down, and I'm in like shock. So I'm driving forward. This woman is pulled off, and I drive past her. I'm like, I don't know what just happened. And so the next like right turn, I pull off, and like I put my window down, and I see the guy that was behind me. I'm like, hey.
Yeah,
And he gives me the sign. He's like, he saw the whole thing. And yeah, it's insane. She was very apologetic and stuff.
Yeah, she was great.
But still, it's like I've never been that close. And then, yeah, just the rest of the night, kind of thinking about how horrible that could have gone. Like, you could have gotten really, really hurt being on a bike. I could have destroyed my car. I could have hit somebody else's car. It could have been like a 3-car thing.
Totally.
And it's funny too, because we exchanged info and all that stuff. And well, even driving home, we weren't quite home yet, and I thought I heard something weird. I thought my tire had popped or something, and it turned out it was just the truck behind me that had really huge mud tires. I was like, oh my God, is something wrong with my car? Luckily it wasn't. Everything seems to be fine. But I got home and I had 3 calls from her already. I don't think I told you this.
No, I didn't know that.
I had 3 calls. I get so many spam calls that I had it silenced, right? So all these messages. And then I finally picked up the 4th one, and she's like, well, since we didn't get in an actual accident, I don't think we should have exchanged info and stuff. And then she's like going on this whole thing. I said, my car might have damage to it. I don't know yet.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter. We almost got into an accident. You made me take a lane and hit the curb with my car. If anything's wrong, your insurance is paying for it, not me.
Totally.
But
well, here I am saying she was great about it. I didn't know.
Yeah, I mean, she was as friendly as you can be when you're at fault.
Yeah.
Of course you're gonna be. Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
Canadian thing, but.
Oh man, yeah, that was terrifying because like I remember I was even in the middle of the intersection when that'll happen, and I was just like, I audibly was like, holy shit, and then like, you know, grab the clutch, whatever, and I'm just like, holy crap, because like I could see the truck on my left coming up, and I'm like, oh no, but it was like, yeah, it was minus hitting the curb, it was, you know, pretty great.
I remember when I pulled over, you're like, that was wild. I'm like, okay, I'm gonna look cool.
Oh my goodness, yeah, that was great.
No car accidents. No. You look cool, perfect.
Yeah, that was insane. But it was also funny because we were talking with one of our other coworkers that night, and he was talking about his fear of getting hit by a semi, right?
Oh yeah, he was.
Yeah, and then a semi pulled out, and then that all happened. So
it's all Joel's fault.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. Yeah, that was wild. But yeah, it's crazy. I think this is only the 3rd time we've then met in person.
I think so.
Crazy.
Yeah.
COVID's nuts.
Yeah, I know.
What a weird time, but
I'm so over it.
Yeah, so am I. I think most of the world is, but apparently some people are a little too over it.
Yeah, you know who you are.
You know who you are. Oh man. On that note, I guess. Yeah, it's been great. This has been fun.
Yeah.
Did you enjoy the whiskey?
I did.
Yeah.
I think I'll be walking home.
Yeah, I mean, probably you're only like a block away anyway, so yeah, it was really fun. Really appreciate it. This was a great debut podcast. Appreciate having all your help.
You bet.
And I look forward to getting those videos of different things.
Yes, I'll send you a few.
Yeah. So plug for Lucas. He doesn't have a YouTube channel yet. Otherwise, I'd link it. But
we'll see what I can get up in the next couple of days.
We'll see what happens. There might be a link at the very least. You know, your Instagram or something.
For sure.
So it's crazy. I only started following you today.
I know.
I was like, oh, I should probably tag him in this. I'm like, oh, I should probably follow him first.
Yep.
So I mean, now we're officially friends.
Yes. Yeah. Official. Instagram official.
Yeah, Instagram official. So cool. Okay. Well,
awesome.
Thank you. And this will be 3 weeks from today. I think the next one's October 6th. So stay tuned for that.
Can't wait to watch.
Can't wait. Gonna be fun. Gonna be a nightmare to edit, but here we go. So.
Oh yeah.
Sweet.
Anyway, congrats.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Thanks for being here.
Keep you accountable.
Beautiful. Okay. Well, see you later.
See you later. Later.